Would you look at me being on time and all that kind of stuff. First time for everything. Yeah, so today we're actually doing something a little different. The GMTK game jam is going on as we speak, and I figured I wasn't going to join this year because I have a lot of stuff to do for my own game. As anybody who's been in the Discord or watched the last stream knows, there's been a lot of stuff that broke in my project. When I tried to reorganize a bunch of stuff and throw out a bunch of unused assets, I accidentally threw out a bunch of used assets as well that I need to replace. Some of my source files apparently corrupted somewhere along the way, so I have to export those back out of Unreal and then back into Substance Painter and redo the textures. If I want to change anything about the textures, which I do, because I want to unify all of the enemies within one backing style. Not really important right now. But that means that I've been doing a lot of what's essentially technical upkeep for my project. In less flattering ways, you could say that the tech debt has caught up to me in some ways and made me entirely implode, depending on how positive you want to be or how negative you want to be. So that's why I didn't think I was going to do this, but then I had this idea in my head for a game that might kind of work depending on the theme, and then the theme was announced, being loops. I was like, the idea that I have for potentially a game jam game here that's going to be fairly simple to make, turns out it's not that simple to make, works really well with the theme. So, well, here we are. I'll show you what the theme, what the concept of the game is. Also, hello City Legion. And then we'll just kind of get going with where I left off 5 minutes ago before the stream started. So what we have here is a class that won't compile. Why not? So my other monitor, first and foremost. Why do you not want to compile? That's slightly worrying. Is it because next tile? Where the fuck did that function go? I made that function. Full property object reference, yeah. Oh, hold on, that's not, no, that's the wrong thing, right? It's on tile finished. Next tile is on here, okay. This needs to have its signature updated. This should be something. I think this was called finish tile. And then this needs to be an object reference to the tile that got sent through. In this case, we're not using it here, but there's other places where we need to send that through. Apparently that didn't save, so let me just add that back in real quick. And that should be that. So now this should all compile and we should be able to play the game. Okay, so there we go. We have this concept here of a number of different tiles that need to, well, loop. So what we do is we have these arrows that indicate the direction that the signal is going to travel. It's going to start all the way here at the bottom left. This tile isn't movable. It is rotatable, but it's not movable. Everything else is movable and rotatable as you like. And eventually you're going to be constructing like an entire board of these tiles and trying to optimize for a as high as possible score. That's the idea. So if I press on this tile over here, you can see it goes through, it collects some score, it adds to a total score, and then we're going to add in a bunch of special tiles that will either multiply our score or trigger other tiles, give money instead of score so that you can buy things. So I've made this one score tile so far, and it's kind of like, or a non-score score tile, and it's just the basic class now for a, I call it a relay tile. And that effectively just, as its effect, instead of giving you something, it activates as a one-off the tiles that it points to. So I made a bunch of functions here that nested together to figure out how that all works. But what that will let me do now is I have this right here, which is asking, hey, give me the coordinate to the right of this tile, and that also takes into account its rotation and everything. It was a bit of a headache to do, not gonna lie, because I'm bad at that kind of stuff. But I want this one to go both to the left and the right. I'll make a separate class for that in a moment, because this is really going to be a base class, and I actually do think that this functionality of finding other coordinates based on directions probably should be code that exists on the very base level tile class, because that seems useful in general. But now what this will do is it will activate the tile left and right of it. Let me check if that's actually the things that it points to. Yes, so left and right relative to its direction, right? So its direction is this, so it will activate the tile over here and the tile over here, no matter the rotations. And then I also want to have, obviously, a variation where it just activates one of 4 directions, the other 2 directions, and maybe even one that does all 4. That would be interesting. So that's what I've been working on so far, and I will be at first doing those other directional tiles, and then the reason I'm live streaming this partly is because I'm supposed to live stream today. I'm switching my stream schedule over to streaming on Fridays instead of Thursdays, because I think it's just spread out a little bit better and that kind of stuff. But also because I figure if there's people watching, they might have interesting ideas for tiles that I can make. I already have a handful of ideas for tiles that might be interesting to do. But we'll see. So first and foremost, let's just show you how those tiles work, because I don't think I've done that yet. So we've got these tiles. If I put in these tiles, I don't have enough of the normal score tiles. So I'm just going to put in another one of these right here. So what this will do now is it will activate this, which will set the signal here and there and then here. And then before this one moves on to this, it's first going to activate this one, and then it's going to move over to this, which actually needs to be facing that way, which is going to activate this one, which doesn't have anything in it, but also this one. And this one will in turn then again activate this one and this one. The only thing is there's potential for infinite loops there. There's potential for infinite loops in this game to begin with, which I need to kind of stamp out till. They won't trigger when they are pointing toward each other like this. So when this thing sees that it's about to activate a relay tile, it's going to check, hey, does that relay tile point back to me as well? And if it does, it just doesn't activate it. That seems to be the simplest way for me to prevent these from ping-ponging back and forth forever and soft-locking you. Because everything else just was messy. And I think that's reasonable. So that's the way that I deal with that. Now, let's actually play this through. You can see. And you can imagine how that's going to build out over time, right? Like if we just kind of replace all of these with those types of tiles. And right now, this is the shop. They only have that type of tile, which costs 0 because I'm testing it. But I'm sure that you can imagine that it's going to be doing randomized things in here every round. So let's see. What this is going to do is it's going to activate this, and I'm going to activate this, which is going to activate this, which is going to activate this, and I'm going to activate this, which activates those two, and then it's going to activate this, which activates those two, and then it activates this, which, yeah. So you get really like big chain reactions. out of this, potentially. And you can also, if you wanted to, like more directly chain these together, of course. This one can then activate this one again, which can activate this one. And in this way, you still can make infinite loops. Because this is going to now make an infinite loop. So I need to kind of figure out what I'm going to do about that, because how am I going to detect that, right? I guess the original tile that initiates the chain can keep track of everything. Like every tile that has been activated. And disallow the same tile to be activated more than one time within the same chain. Because it's not enough to just check whether or not it's reactivating itself. Right? Because this is not reactivating. Well, this is reactivating itself. But if I were to like do one little thing here to change that, which would be like if I were to set this up like this, now we create a infinite loop up here. Which actually, now that I think about it, I already have something built in for that, because they have a, I'll just show you, they have a concept of a limited amount of activations that they can do. And when those run out, they just won't do anything anymore, and it should report back to it being the end of the loop. Yeah, I think I already have that built in. The only issue would be still if they go back through the original tile, maybe? Let's see what this does. Well, that doesn't do anything. I also very easily can still softlock myself. Because I set it up wrong. Let's just get a couple of these tiles in here. Just do a normal basic circle. Just to kind of like farm these tiles. And then what I want to do is I want this to activate this one up here, which activates that's what I want to do, right? Yeah, so that creates an infinite loop, but after about 5 loops that should stop, but it doesn't report back at being finished, because it technically never does finish, I guess. Because they are still looping now. They're just not animating. Because they're not doing anything anymore, but they Yeah, so this is the issue with this game, is the looping aspect of it. Which is the theme of the game jam, right? It's looping, but it's not those kind of loops that I want to create, because then you just don't have anything to play anymore. You just sit back and watch the score count up and nothing actually happened, because the score doesn't get actually registered until you make it all the way back to tile number 1. So you can make this infinite loops right now. But it's just going to softlock you. I don't really like that, obviously. So let's actually just make this shop like spawn in with like 10 tiles instead. Makes it a little easier to troubleshoot. It just helps me visually lay out what happens. So this activates, that activates, and then we get into this loop. At some point, one of these is going to fail activation, which I can actually show you what that looks like in the event graph here. When it can no longer trigger, it finishes the effect. And finish effect is just a delay, and then it calls on finished. So when this calls on finished, this should also then call on finished. Oh, the reason that's not doing that, I think, is because it's trying to call it on this too. Yeah, that's just generally, I think that's just generally a bug in the system that we have. Because if I'm calling this on nothing, I think it also gets stuck, right? Yes. If I call this on just one thing, I think it still does get stuck. No. So as long as it calls it on at least one thing, it doesn't get stuck. But we should check, so in this for each loop, right? After this for each loop, we should check if this is greater than 0. Because that's the amount of tiles that we are waiting for at that point. And if we are not waiting for any tiles, that means that we need to just move on. So then we just instant like finish effects. Is there anything else that we need to do for that? No. Yeah, so then we just instantly finish the effect and move on. I don't think that's gonna help me with the infinite loop thing, but it's still a bug that needs to be fixed. Okay, no. Why didn't that fix it? Oh, hold on. Because I used the wrong side of the branch. That'll do it. Yeah, okay. So now it just moves on, which is nice. You can also see that the stock auto the shop auto restocks with a little animation already, which is kind of nice. Let's just, in case this does fix it, check, but I don't think this will fix it. The infinite looping thing. Oh, this doesn't, yeah, no, that makes sense. I feel like I needed one less before, but sure. I don't think this is going to fix it, but we should just give it a shot to see. Oh, that's why. Holy shit, did that fix it? Did we? Holy fuck. Why though? I'm glad it worked, but why? I mean, that is an interesting strategy now, right? You can farm this thing to trigger like 4 or 5 times by building one of these little loops. And especially if you also can put in like more here and there along it, you can start like farming major points. I like the idea that this is a possibility that you can do. I don't want to disincentivize this if I can make it work in a way that doesn't lock you. But that's kind of neat. Let's see if it works a second time. It keeps you in suspense for a second, where it's like, oh, am I going to let you move on? Am I going to let you move on? And then I'll let you move on. That's really cool. So yeah, this also now lets me like farm like 5 money per round, effectively, right? Or 4. No, 5. Oh, that's super cool. Oh, that's super nice. Yeah, so I think our relay tile just straight up kind of works now, which is surprising, to say the least. Didn't expect that to go so easily. Okay, so let's change this up. I want to change a couple of things around a little bit. YouTube is screaming at me. What does YouTube want? Oh, I'm too high in bitrate for YouTube's stuff. Sure. I'll lower it next time, YouTube. Can you just shut up? Thank you. Okay, there's a couple of things that I probably want to move to the base class, because I think this whole get target coordinates, like find rotated coordinate, find target coordinate, get target coordinates, is probably like a good set of functions to copy over to the base tile class, which I think I can just do like this. And then in theory, if I just remove these from here and then compile, it should just replace them with the base class versions that I just made. Did it? I think it did. Let's just to be sure do a test run. That still works. Okay. I think it'll be nice to have in the base class. Now that we have that though, let's make the default implementation of this return nothing. Then the relay tile is still going to have some code to itself. So it's still going to effectively function as a base class. Let's make a folder for base tiles, because I feel like we're going to have more of those. I guess the start loop tile is also technically a base tile. And then the relay tile, now it's as easy as just creating a child blueprint, relay forward. I'll import the images in a second and actually make these tiles. Relay back. It's taking a moment. I don't like it when it takes a moment. So is anybody watching this also participating in the... God damn it! In the game jam? I think I saved the important changes. And if so, how's development going on your games? Yeah, okay, so the relay tile doesn't have the functions anymore. It's the base tile that has them. It probably just didn't, make the... No, don't copy, make a child. Is there a shortcut? Wow, voice crack galore. What the hell? Is there a shortcut for making a base class? That would be really nice. Can we have like... Or child class? Go to child graph, children... Is there really no shortcut? For making a child? Huh. You'd think they make a shortcut for making a child blueprint. Oh well. Relay up. relay down, relay left, and relay right. Move those to the upper folder. Relay up down. Relay left right. To the tiles there, and relay quad sides. Right now it doesn't support diagonals, and I think I probably should make it support diagonals, because then we can have a plus version and an X version and all the 8 tiles are rounded version. So we have like a bunch of those relay tiles. There's just a lot of very easy tiles to make, because right now we're already at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different tiles, right? Without actually having done too much as far as like unique coding goes. But it still can make for unique interactions and that kind of stuff. So being able to add 2 more to that without too much trouble is probably worth it, man. Not going to do it right now. I think it's more fun. I think it's more fun to focus on doing a lot of stuff. I've had a couple of ideas here. How are you addressing the loop element? I'll show you. Well, right now, actually. Well, actually, I need. Give me 1 second to implement these tiles real quick, and then I'll show you. We'll make the icon sort in a moment. Later. So this is the relay tile for down. So we just make array, find target coordinates for down. And then we kind of just copy this over to the other classes as well. So we do the same thing for left. So these things that you see here, they're tiles, and I'll just show you the basic idea, and then we'll make the relay tiles in a moment. So you start with this. Just a couple of tiles that add up linear score, one that gives you money, and then there's going to be a bunch of unlockable tiles that you can buy in the shop. That will modify the signal, the scoring that you can do in a number of different ways. So the base idea is that you need the signal to loop back around to the start. That in and of itself is a loop, you could argue. That's what I'm going to argue anyway. But beyond that, there's another layer where if you, especially with these relay tiles that we're making right now, if you set these up cleverly, you can make these loop to farm score. So this is just the basic way that it works. You just get some score. But now if I take this, well, for that I actually need to re-implement the relay stuff properly. But I can show you without actually having it work, right? If I do this, what this tile will do is it will activate this one and this one before moving on to the direction of the red arrow. So you can imagine that that creates a situation where you can infinitely loop these if you have enough of them. Right now, the directionality for these doesn't work because I'm working on that. But in theory, it would be, okay, we do this tile, and this tile, and this tile, and this tile, and this tile, then this tile and this tile. Well, this tile just gives you score, but this tile will trigger this one and this one. There isn't anything here, but this one will trigger this one and this one. And if we have enough, we can make a little loop here. They have a limited amount of triggers, because otherwise the... so you can do subqueries. Effectively, yeah, you're effectively like multi-threading your signal. Aside from the fact that it's actually single-threaded because it waits. So, yeah. But they have a limited amount of activations per tile of type. type of tile. It's been a long 2 days, okay? I'm speaking a lot. Which will all be able to be seen in the like little info menu on the right side there. So these can only activate a total of 5 times per round. So when those run out in the loop, it will resolve itself back to this tile, and then the signal will move on. But if you then obviously have a bunch of scoring tiles next to this one tile activation will then give you like 5 here and 5 there and 5 there and then 5 there, and so on and so forth. So that's the basic idea of the game. There's going to be a bunch of extra tiles that I can think of. I already have an idea for a tile that destroys itself after it's been used once. That just gives you a massive amount of score on money. A tile that will, instead of triggering one thing to either side, will go to one side a variable number of times, maybe. I don't really know how I'm going to implement that yet, as in combined with the multiple activation type of deal. That might be something that doesn't synergize too well as a result. But I might also make a tile that resets the activations for certain tiles, right? So if I have it set up in such a way that this one triggers a loop, and then we have a tile here that might like reset this one's activations. I don't know if it's going to spatially work out for you to be able to reset that loop, but to a certain degree, I suppose that's up to the players to figure out. I'm sure someone is going to some way find something that I didn't think of and break the game and get stuck in an infinite loop. It is important to note, however, that you don't actually get the score until you get the signal back to the start. If you look at what this does, it comes up on the top left, and it doesn't give it to me on the or the top right. It doesn't give me the score on the left if it like ends in a dead end. It only actually gives me that score if it loops all the way back around to the beginning to disincentivize people of breaking it. You can make an infinite loop, but with that infinite loop that you're going to get stuck in, you're not going to actually get the score. So it's kind of useless. Right now, it does give you money when you do that still. That should also probably only be granted when you get back to the start position. So yeah, that's we just need to set up a bunch of these relay functions now, which was called something along the lines of get target coords. Get target coords. Just need to do that like 6 times. I think the fun is in making something that is as close to like infinitely scalable as possible without actually being infinite. Because if it's infinite, obviously, you're going to get stuck, and you don't want to get stuck. Why is this relay left-right? That shouldn't be doing that. Wait, what? That's the same. Is that just a copy? Did I just copy the... I just copied it instead of making a child. I'm an idiot. Up down is also a copy then, isn't it? Yeah. We'll remake those. Again, it's been a busy like 3 or 4 days because I've worked very hard on my actual like long-term project, and then I dove right into this. So my brain isn't braining at 100%. I mean, it usually isn't. Usually my brain is braining at like 20%, but right now it's I mean downwards of like 5%. Really. But yeah. Can you... Oh, no spacing. Sure. Makes sense. Okay, so now we have all of those. I think what I'm going to do before making the doubles, well, let's also make the doubles. Why not? So we make, let's just copy these. Relay up, down. I'm going to be really annoying about this. I don't want right, left. I want left, right. Does it matter? Nope. Well, I guess technically the order in which it does it on the CP, but it doesn't matter. A brain that doesn't brain is the first side of something great. I sure hope so, man. I sure do hope so. So yeah, the wonderful thing about the way that I coded this now is that it's super easy to just say, hey, I want this one to actually trigger two things at once. So this is going to do up and down at the same time. And then, holy shit, can somebody just... What the fuck, man? Yeah, we're doing relay stuff. So yeah, I can very easily, that's what I was talking about, yeah. People texting me in the middle of the stream is annoying. Especially since it's somebody that I don't know, and it's somebody that's asking me if I can like do a job in a place that I used to live like 5 years ago. Like, dude, I have moved so far away since then. No. Yeah, now I can just do this and relay quad. Let's call this plus shape. And just add two more. And we'll also add up and down into here as well now. Okay. Before we go in and do anything more for testing these, which I'm going to do before moving on to the next type of tiles. If anybody has any ideas, by the way, for like tile types that might be fun, feel free to put them in the chat, because that's part of the reason that I felt maybe streaming this would be fun. Because I want to steal your ideas, effectively. But before we do any of that, I'm going to open Affinity. And we're going to be making us some arrows. I don't want to update. I do want to open up the unresolved files. Thank you. So we already have this one, which is... It's a little weird. Because it's up and down, but it's actually left and right. Because it's relative to the direction of the red arrow. Well, actually, I guess that is up and down in this case. But it's left and right from the perspective of the arrow. Because it would be, like, if the arrow is up and down, it goes left and right, yeah. So let me just open up the directory that I made for this. That's called images. So the easiest one to do obviously is this. And we'll call that then arrow up down, I guess. And the wonderful thing about the 4 directional ones is that it doesn't matter because it's just in 4 directions. Arrow plus shape. I'm just going to make the X shape icon as well for now. even though I don't have the code for that implemented yet. And then I might as well just do the like omnidirectional as well. And then we have up, down, left, right, plus X. So only need the singular directions now. So let's get rid of all of these. Recenter this. Probably make it bigger. And we can kind of just eyeball it. Okay, this is going to be a bit fucky. Because this is pointing to the right. But I'm making everything from the perspective of the default direction being to the right. So this is actually up. I think. I don't know why I decided to do that. It wasn't really a decision. It just kinda happened. And now I gotta deal with my idiotic bullshit. So this is the down. So this would be left. I guess it doesn't really matter if I name these wrong, because I can just switch around which things use which icons in engine. But I would prefer them to actually be properly named, obviously. All right, put this to the side and let's stop playing. Import these images. We have a bunch of arrows that want to live in this project. Okay, before we do anything else, we open this in the property matrix, because I'm going to need to set its wrapping to, for all of them, to being clamped. Otherwise it's gonna, well, be wrapping. What are we working on today? Game Jam stuff. The GMTK Game Jam is going on, and the theme is a looping. So I'm kind of making a I've heard this term going around lately, a score-like, which is every video game ever, right? But I guess you could classify this game as a score-like. It's really a subgenre that went big with Balatro, where you just kind of like make combinations of shit that just kind of like farm score. Again, I kind of feel that that's every video game ever, but the idea being is that we just farm score with these tiles, and these tiles send a signal through in a certain direction, and you can do all kinds of fancy shit with all the tiles that I'm going to be making. Right now I'm working on a bunch of relay tiles that kind of send off a separate like thread of signal for you to be farming score with. But we can make multipliers, we can make whatever we want, right? We're game developers, we can do whatever we want. But now, first and foremost, these arrows. So we go in here. I already pre-set up a bunch of this stuff, so I can just find the right arrow for this one, and I hope to God that it's the proper ones. Plus shape for this one. Quick question, do you have a resource that you can use to track upcoming game dev events? Not really. I guess, I mean, Steam publishes their own stuff if you have a Steamworks account. But that's specifically for like Steam sales, which is kind of nice as a developer, knowing when the next Steam sale is going to be. For selling your game, but also for if you want to buy a game. Just like, oh, wait it out a little bit more. And all the events hosted like through Steam, well, not all of them maybe, but a lot of events like Next Fest and that kind of stuff which are hosted through Steam, you can find on the calendar in Steamworks. But in a broader sense, I don't really know. It would be kind of nice to have something, though. I'm sure there's something out there somewhere. I don't know. If anybody does know something, do let me know, because it would be good to be able to keep track of easily. Well, yeah, and then we have these two, but these aren't. Is that all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I suppose that would be all of them. No, it's not all of them. We have relay up and down. But relay up and down is... Oh, that's this. That's left, right. Why is that just right? This is left, right. Plus shape, down, left, right, and up. Okay. The way that we're going to do this now, I think, is going into the shop. Whenever we restock shop, we do something somewhere, surely. There we go. Let's make this an array. Get copy. Make array. It's a little roundabout doing it this way, but random array item. There we go. That works. So now we can just add all these in. Relay down, relay left. We'll have to obviously make this a little bit better down the line. But for testing purposes, this will do. Relay right, that's just relay tile base. That should probably be an abstract class so that I can accidentally fuck it up. Relay up, up, down. It's down, left, right, up. Left, right, up, down, and plus shape. Yeah, that's 7. That makes sense. So now it should stock the shop randomly with those. And there we go. So let's see. Seems to work. So let's just have a little bit of fun with this before we move on to anything else. I guess you are kind of bound by the direction of these as well. But this would be... Oh, exactly, there we go. This then sends me over there, so we can't actually do that. Which also is maybe interesting to note is these arrows, this would obviously create an infinite loop in and of itself, right? This would activate this, which would activate this, which would activate this, which would activate this. This I have effectively hard-coded disabled. If a relay tile tries to activate a relay tile that would activate it back in return, it just doesn't activate it. So I can show you that now, hopefully. So yeah, you see, this one over here just didn't activate this one. Because, frankly, I spent like 2 hours trying to figure out a good way of making that loop still happen and then making the signal continue, but everything got like, major messed up. And I think this is a pretty fair limitation to put into like the rule set of the game, is that these relay tiles can't direct back into themselves in this way. Because that also kind of keeps you from being able to literally do this, right? Because this is not going to like do anything. Question is if it even progresses now. Yeah, it does. Wait, what? Oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the chain effects are already getting to a point where I'm like, hey, did that bug? No, that didn't bug. That just was unexpectedly nice, extra little bit of money. So yeah, the relay tiles work. I guess technically it probably wants me to do this. Sure, why not? So let's make some other stuff. I think what about a tile that goes through a couple of different tiles in a row? Right? Would that be fun? Let's focus on making the glass tile first, because that's one that I had in mind to begin with, and it's super easy to actually make. All that we need to do is go into our tiles, base tile, make a child of tile, glass tile. I'm gonna keep that as a base class as well, because I feel like we might want to make a bunch of separate things off of this. Maybe that shouldn't actually be a base class. Yeah, I think that should just be a property. I think that makes more sense to be a property. So let's delete this. Yeah, so let's make that an enum. Just gonna throw it in the main folder. Don't mind me. That's a folder. That's not enum. Tile type. Will probably be good to have. Where we can add a glass. Well, let's add just normal first, and then we can add in glass, and that way we can maybe even add in more modifiers easily like this. Maybe we have I don't know. At this point I don't really have many ideas, but maybe we have a tile type that makes any tile's effects double, like run twice. Maybe we have a tile type that automatically doubles the amount of uses that a tile can have. There's a bunch of things that we can do with that add in like extra, well, loops, extra angles into the gameplay, I think. And then we can just go back into the normal tile class here. And in the event graph, we have this call on tile finish. That'll do everything that it needs to do. And then I guess we can just give this thing a tile type. Starting to regret not doing this in C++, but I figured for the quickness of prototyping it'd be nice to do it entirely in Blueprint. Which is the case, but it's also tedious. Tile type. And we just do a switch here. In case there's anything else that we want to do at the end. And I'm also going to immediately just add in the, well, on begin play. Just the first thing it does will also just go through a switch. For normal and for glass, that's obviously, I guess glass doesn't need to have an inherent benefit. The inherent benefit can be that a value is lower. So we can just set the value to being like half the value, so that's easier to buy. And then we will let's floor it. So now anything that's marked as a glass tile will automatically be half price. But they're also going to die after one use. So they're probably probably a bad deal still, to be honest. But might help you just like put together the one combo that you want to make, you know? And then I guess for now what we'll do is tile type, we'll set that to just be entirely at random. We can make that weighted at some point. Don't we set the material here anywhere? There's a place. Oh, that's in the construction scripts. Yeah. I guess we just do that again at begin play afterwards. Maybe. Because construction will run before begin play, right? So I guess then we can do this on construction. It's not that big a deal. It's going to be random every time in here, though, which is maybe going to be a little annoying. Yeah, maybe don't do that. I don't know if it's bad optimization wise to do it in a construction script and then immediately do it at begin play as well, but it would be really nice from like my perspective to have it display the actual icons in editor here, because that's what the construction script will allow me to do. But then also the underlying material. I guess what I could do instead is I could just make this like a separate image. So right now it's kind of like baking that into the material. But if I just make this a plane, and I know this thing is 20 units high, so I can just say, hey, your location is 21. And then scale you down ever so slightly, so you're about this size. I think that might make more sense to do. Because then we can make the... Well, that would need to be a child of the static mesh, probably. Oh, we even could make it so that it's not. No, it has to be. Because the arrows rotate with it, right? Yeah, so it has to be. I was thinking for the things that text on it or numbers on it, it might be nice for those to always be the right way up, but I mean, we could specifically make a property for whether or not it should rotate with it or not, but that's not priority right now, I don't think. It would just be a bool that attaches or deattaches the plane. It's actually not that big a deal, but yeah, let's go into this tile material and we'll get rid of this input texture. Just display this on a plane for now, please. And then I think we're going to get rid of the arrow as well. I have another idea for what I want to do with the arrow. Instead of it being an arrow, which is a little ugly, I kind of want to just make it like little lights that light up. I think that would be a lot cooler. So let's get rid of that for a moment too. Which leaves us with just this. Let's not have it offset anymore then either. And it's probably fine to be a little bit bigger again. So maybe slightly smaller. And this just goes into the RGB, and we can make this a masked material. So we can just put the alpha into the opacity mask, and then we only have the +1. I think we can just even on the material basis say that it's to cast shadows, maybe not. Just tell the mesh not to cast shadows, it's fine. So we don't need to set the material for the arrow. Yeah, and this static mesh can just be marble. And this, I don't know why it's 23. I think I set it to 21, right? That feels a bit better, I think. And again, I think not casting shadows is good because we don't need it to. I had a different material at some point for the other one. Let's see if we have Quixel Bridge open. I don't think I'm logged in, so I need to get something that's already downloaded. I think I used this one. That'll do for now. All that to separate these two things out, which is one thing. But also so that we can now, in here, finally, set this thing's material. Based on a selection. Because then I just closed Quixel again, didn't I? Does this have glass by any chance? I don't think I wanted to actually be see-through probably, but let's just see if it has any. It's got a lot of windows. Surely you have some glass stuff. Guess we can just quickly make one. It's not that big a deal, but preferred if you just existed. I participated also in the GMTK game jam. It's my first jam, also first game that I've done package it. I'm always eager to see what other people make. It's so many people joined this jam though, but it's always cool to see how many more people joined than the year before. This is, I think, my 5th time in a row doing this jam. It's the one jam in the year that I consistently try to join because I just like the community around it. And obviously I like GMTK as a channel a lot. And this feels like the first time that I'm making a game that's actually within a reasonable scope. The previous years I've always gone kind of overboard. Insanely so, even. So yeah, let's just set this opacity 20%, maybe 35%. 35% seems good. And then do we have... what do I need to do again for this to have a refraction? Because I like it when glass has a little bit of refraction. I don't have an HIO page yet. I kind of decided to join this pretty last minute because I'm actually very busy this week. Since a month, really. So I didn't intend on joining this year, which was a real bummer. Because again, I've joined the last 5 years or last 4 years in a row. But then the theme just really fit with an idea that's been like kind of itching in the back of my mind to begin with. So I figured, you know what, this is a sign. I need to do this. Let me just give that a quick Google. Because I forget. Unreal Material Refraction. Translucency. Oh, it's right there. You need to set that to surface translucency volume, and then refraction should become available. It's not. It's not. Is there anything in the project settings that I need to? Refraction disabled, yes. Refraction, oh, there's a separate menu for refraction, is there? Oh, there we go. Index of refraction. For glass, I think IOR is 152, I just read. Think it's good to set the roughness to something a little higher. My voice is low? It's about, I can boost it a little bit, but it should be at about minus 10 dB. Go a little higher, but it should be fairly normal. It's what I use to record videos as well. But let me just add a little gain, I guess. Filters. Add like, no, 5-6 more dB. That should, yeah, now I'm at about -5. I'm in the red zone. If I start talking loud, I'll start clipping now. So I don't think I can make it much more loud than this at this point, but and then the opacity. I was mumbling a little bit, to be fair. Do we have a texture? This is not what I should be focusing on. But do I have a noise texture like backed into this? I started with an empty project, so probably not. Noise, please. I do. Berlin. I have noise, but no Berlin noise. Well, blurred noise will do. That's kind of what Berlin noise is. Not really, but close enough. Loop that between, I don't know, 0.5 and 0.8. Create a little cloudiness. What does it look like at roughness 1? I think we should also, opacity 1 obviously doesn't have yet. I think this should loop between 0 and 1 for the roughness. And this may be between 0.6 and 0.8 for the opacity, so that it feels a little more cloudy. What the hell even is the scaling of this? Yeah, definitely also. After this, we'll go right back into actual code because, again, this is not super conducive to getting anything done. But let's multiply this by like 0.2. Maybe just use a different noise pattern. Maybe we want to use a different noise pattern. I always get mixed up with multiplication in UVs. I need to multiply it with a big number. So let's multiply this by 5 instead. That's a little bit more what I was looking for. It'll do for now. It's probably going to be pretty ugly. So for normal, it's going to have this material, and then our really shitty glass material. That's the one we just made, right? Yes. When it's a glass tile. So all that said, we should now have glass tiles that look glassy and behave differently and have a different value. So these tiles are glassy. That's good. Don't mind me. This thing is blocking my collision. Yeah, this blocks collision. This entire tile doesn't have collision. The thing that's driving the entire logic is the playing field beyond it. So I need to click through my tiles in order for anything to work. So the moment my tile has any sort of collision, things don't work. This is now... Okay. This is going to break my starting tile when I press it, I think. Yes! Yes, it did. So obviously that tile needs to not be randomized. And I don't think the starting tile should be randomized to begin with either. So the way that we're going to drive this is probably going to be different, but that's the basic idea. Yeah, it'll be a little bit better. So we can pick these up and put this one down here. Now it's gone. Put this one back here. So we have glass tiles. Let me real quick pull in a sound effect for the glass breaking before I forget. Nope. Nah. That's a bit too big. I prefer a smaller sound. But this isn't like bespoke enough. What does this sound like without the second part? It's not great, but I guess it'll do. Let me just drag those into my sounds folder real quick. Glass 1. Another reason that I'm doing this project is because I knew that sound design was going to be quite important here. And I figured this is a great opportunity to actually start working with meta sounds a little bit, even on just a basic level. So that's what we're going to be using here today. in our sounds, which is badly organized, I just kind of copy this over, class break. Pull in our glass waveforms. Please stay open. Thank you. And then we can just drag this in there, and that effectively is everything we need to do. Pitch base maybe a little lower. Pitching it up a little bit does make it feel like it's a slightly smaller piece of glass, so that's nice. And then in tile again, when it's glass, we also place sound to D. Does this create a separate object that's not linked to this actor? In some free time, can you try out my game and tell me what you think? I don't know if we're going to have a bunch of free time here on stream today, but I will click on your username, go to channel, so that's open a tab. Is it the thing that you posted about 3 days ago? Is it anywhere on your channel? Oh, it's the HIO thing from a month ago. Statue fall, I assume, right? Then you have a link to your itch. Okay, I've got a tab open. I'll try to take a look at it. Screenshots look kind of nice. Anybody who's curious? Anyway, glass break is what we're going to play. I don't know if it's actually going to play this, because it might be a component on this actor that's getting destroyed. I guess we'll see. Nope, it plays it all right. Plays it perfectly fine. It's a little loud though. Let's just decrease the sound by a little bit. 20 might be too much. 20 is too much. It's about -30. Well, compared to the other sounds, it isn't actually that loud, so it's probably fine. It's in between the -5 and a -10, man. Somewhere in there. Seems pretty decent. Okay, let's do this slightly differently. Because this is going to bother me otherwise. Make a structure, and that'll be tile type weight. I guess we can actually just do that in a map. We don't need that to be a structure. So what I want to do is on the tile, I also want to be possible types. Can I ask you something? Asking is always free, man. Feel free to ask anything. I don't know if I can answer you, but asking is always good. So yeah, we give this a tile type with a float. And this will be the possibilities for it to be. So by default, obviously everything can be normal and it's going to have a weight of 1. And then everything we work with from here, we can add in the potentiality for it being other things. The annoying thing about a map is that it doesn't automatically make the second entry not normal. So when you want to add something, you need to get rid of the default thing, which is really annoying. It really should fix that at some point. Like if I make a map of like an enum specifically, and I add something, it should just add the next available potential value. It would be so much nicer. Surely it's not that difficult to do that. But yeah, we can say that the weight for normal tiles is about 4. So this will be 80% of the time will be normal, and then about 20% of the time will be glass. Except for, obviously, tiles that we don't want to be able to have as glass. This does need to be exposed to child classes. Such as our starting tile. Our starting tile, we want that to not be able to be anything except for normal. Now we need to actually write some implementation for that though. So function make tile type. You're not technically making it, I guess, but who cares? This is really nice in Unreal 5.6. By the way, you can for each loop over dictionaries now, or over maps. That's fantastic. What you used to need to do is you used to need to like get the keys and then for each loop over those, and then find each key in that, and then you get the actual value. This is doing the exact same thing, I imagine. It also has a break built in. I imagine this is just doing the exact same thing, which is like obfuscated within a single node. It's just nice to be able to loop over a dictionary like that. So yeah, that's a nice new feature. Anyway, the map key and the map value, what we do is we create a total value. It's just going to be a float variable. I do wish that there was just something for float variables where you can just like add to the total instead of having to do this every time, because this is one of those things where Blueprint kind of like grinds my gears. C++ is literally as easy. It's just I guess you could make like a math node or whatever, right? Math expression. Could do something with that probably. But that's still more roundabout than what I wanted to do. Just being able to write plus equal and be done with it. I'll never shut up about that. Anyway, we set this up to be a total value. And then we pick a target value. I said we pick a target value between random range 0 and that total value. And then we loop over this thing again. But this time we check a count up value, where we effectively just do the same thing again. I've done this a million times, so anybody watching this probably seen me doing this before. Also, this is not like a technique I came up with the slightest. And then we check if the countup value is now greater than or equal to our target value. And if it is, we have found our weighted random. And we return that. And let's... We don't need to make that a pure. It's fine. Yeah, so instead of just doing this, which is a bit weird, we can now use this make tile type, which will use that map with weightedness. So we now have less glass tiles. I don't know if this is going to work. Yeah, because these are pointing in weird directions now. Let's add in back something that shows me what direction things are facing, because it's going to be a bother otherwise. So let's add just a couple of spheres. It's just going to be some static meshes. Let's make them about yay big. Ideally, I will make a mesh for this tomorrow. That's a little less ugly. Seems about good. So we just have these like little spheres up here. For the 4 directions. I guess we only need to have 1 sphere. That might be less confusing. Yeah, I think we only need the 1. So we just put the sphere over here. And just make it bright red or something. That should still... Yeah, so now the spheres give you the direction that the things are going. I don't know if this is more or less clear than the arrows, but especially with these relay things, I think the arrows end up being kind of confusing because we have these blue arrows and then we've got these red arrows, where I think this just kind of shows you, okay, this is close to this tile, so it's gonna loop around like this. I think this is less visually messy. Of course, ideally what I would like to do, and I said I was going to do it tomorrow, but it's bothering me, so... Let's do it right now. Alright, this is pretty tricky. I think I should just do this with a box. I have plenty of geometry to work with in the end. Ideally, that should probably also curve. I can't be fucked right now to do that. Well, maybe it's actually not that bad to do. Hold on, I think this might be something that we can do. So if we just go into polygroup and we say I want to insert an edge loop right in the middle here. And then that's not a polygroup, because why would it be? There's an edge back there still. And then we bevel this. We might be halfway there. Nope, that does fuck all. Because I guess... Why? I'm not used to modeling in Unreal like at all. It's getting better for it though, but still not quite there sometimes. Can make this local, right? Yeah. It's a little jank. GMTK happens always when I have shit to do. I feel you. I also have shit to do. But I couldn't help myself. I shouldn't be doing this right now, but fucking here we are. Just gonna have bad topology on this. It doesn't matter. I just want to bevel this. That's kind of round-ish. Oh, it's good. Okay, so maybe we do want to select this one as well. I can live with that. Then I just want to inset this a little. And then I want to push that in and make this a different material. So I want this to be something and then this to be a light. So that way it kind of sits on the edge instead of being in the actual square. So we have more room for the image for the actual thing. So do we set up the materials in here as well? I forget. Again, it's a bit of a wank. Well, not wank, jank. Well, it might be both. A bit of a jank setup that they got for all this. I think attribute has a separate thing for materials. They also don't have a surge mode in all this. Just started your C++ video for Unreal. Can I ask a question? Sure. Always welcome to ask questions. Yeah, I feel like it must have been a modeling and I just looked past it. Does roguelike come on the loop? I mean, I would argue so. But I think most games can reasonably be set to be a loop because almost every game has a game loop in its design where you do something, you gain something so that you can do it again. Roguelikes are 1000% that. Like, roguelikes are all about meta progression. So you go in, you do a loop, you get some meta progression if you do well. So you can do another loop and you can do it better. So yeah, I would call that looping. set up everything it did. Then you try test float thingy, but nothing showed up in the character blueprint. I'm running 5.6 right now, so that could be a lot of things. But assuming that you did like properly mark it as U property and being visible or editable, which are making it editable also makes it visible actually, yeah. In the proper context, did you compile? Because that's the thing that people oftentimes do forget. They like write the code and then they like just start up Unreal through launching their project. But you do actually need to compile your changes. So if I like open up Writer here for my own project, you actually need to launch it through the IDE for it to compile and add in those changes. Again, that's assuming that you do have things like the U property set up properly for your float. Also, might be an issue. Well, probably not in this case, but a thing that happens a lot is people using live coding and not actual building. So then it adds it into the editor, and then you close the editor and you reopen it, and it's gone. Because live coding isn't actually building your code. It's just kind of hacking it in there temporarily. But that probably isn't the issue here, I would imagine. Because you don't have sharp at all. I don't know, if your code compiles and you have it as a U property, it should show up. So like either one of those things surely must be going wrong. Like obviously if you get a compile error, your code didn't compile and it's not going to be present there. Also make sure that it's not in private. I think Unreal will not allow you to compile private variables unless they're specified as private accessible with a U property, but that might be a problem. But yeah, you do need the U property to specifically say visible anywhere or added anywhere. But if it is a U property with added anywhere or visible anywhere, the difference obviously being that this is editable and the other one is one of those grayed out fields. And you're compiling it, that should show up. So somewhere in there, a step you think is going right might be going wrong. It's kind of hard to troubleshoot that right now, though. Because that really should be all there is to it. Trying to think if there's anything else that could be missed, but yeah, there isn't that much to it. I mean, at that point, the only thing that I can think of is that your blueprint class doesn't inherit off of your C++ class, but just off something else, maybe. Like if you made a C++ class of a character and a C++ class and a blueprint class of a character, and you're like not, and you think they're related but they're not, would be kind of weird if that's the issue. But I feel like that's the only thing that I can think of right now. Make sure that it has the proper parent class. Because those are the only like moving parts to all that. So now where's my project? Oh yeah, fucking materials. Am I just blind? I must be losing my mind. Attributes makes the most sense. Added materials. There we go. Okay. Second material slot. We'll just call that red for now. That's not what I wanted you to do. No, no. Bad brush. No, yes. My goodness. Alright, we have 2 material slots for this thing now. Once again, I'm gonna go in and make this thing not cast shadows and stuff. But we will make it emissive, because emissive stuff is fancy. We have this thing now. I will set that up in the base tile. We call it box something. I just drag it in like this. Oh, it's tiny. Oh, that makes sense why it's tiny. So we're gonna get there. That's a little bit less in the way, I would say. It's certainly not the most important thing to be taking a look at right now. But I think it's nice to have it look kind of like just not super bad. And while we're at it, might as well, right? Just make this very red and then just multiply this by, I don't know, 50? 50 is usually a good start. Maybe even more. One thing that I also should do, because I hate that this is a default. Project settings. Auto exposure. Please turn yourself off. Because that makes it really difficult to look at things. And actually judge them, especially with like this whole glowing stuff. I guess this doesn't quite get to be white, because it doesn't have the other 2 channels in it. That adds up. It's nothing to be upset about there. But that looks good enough. Wait, what? Oh, it's only on the start loop tile. Now everything is glowy. It looks kind of wank on the glass tiles though, but I don't know, this kind of feels like it is probably less obtuse than having those arrows everywhere. They do need to not block the collision though. Something is still blocking my collision there. What the fuck? Oh, it's the thing itself. Yeah, okay. I feel like this makes more sense than the arrows. Especially when we have like these arrows as well now. Well, this is a bad example. Like we have these arrows. This is an arrow that reactivates this. But this is the direction of the signal. Right, so I find myself playing my own game, which is usually a good sign. So we do something like that. Okay, something's a bit... Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So we still have that infinite loop issue going on, right? We need to fix that. A game only a developer could love. This is definitely the type of game that you... if you like this, you probably should give it a shot, just making like a fun little game at any point in your life, because it is very much like programmer coded. Well, it's programmer coded, but also programmer coded. This feels a lot like what it feels like to code something, making these types of games, or playing these types of games. I mean, it's just a factory game with extra steps. This is just baby's first Factorio. Matter of fact, the code that I'm using for this, I might in the future use to make a factory game, because I always love factory games as well. So yeah, for this one I actually want this to just not have anything. And just like that, the starting tile won't have anything for direction. So yeah, the tiles that actually get us started need to also not be breakable, obviously. Again, I find myself just playing. I don't want to just be playing the game. I need to be making the stuff. Can you show the moving camera system? It's really simple. All that it is hold on, let me in my player I have an input action for player zooming, which just zooms in and out the ortho width of the camera. It's an orthographic view because it's all top down and kind of like 2D style. And then player moving is just a vector 2D, which gets divided by or multiplied by 100th of the ortho width, so that the movement actually scales to the amount that you zoomed out. So if you're zoomed out more, you'll actually physically move more, because your ortho width is wider when you're zoomed out. So let's say your ortho width is 2000, you'll be moving 20 units per trigger in this case. And then we just make that into a vector 3 because that's what we need. We were in a 3D world. And the way that this gets generated is fairly easy as well. Those are just some input actions. So I have an input action, obviously, for player move. That's what this entire node is. And then the mapping for that is just either mouse axis 2D, which only triggers with a coordinate action of middle mouse button. So that way I can just like drag it around with the middle mouse. You'll note that if you actually pay very close attention, that the movement isn't like actually very well stuck to where I put my mouse in the world. It just kind of does the general direction of where I drag. But if you look at what tile I'm on, and when I move, I will be sliding off of that tile. Ideally, for a system like this, you would tweak the numbers so that they like actually stick a little bit better, but I don't really care. And then I also just have WASD, which just puts a float value of 0 and 1 into either the X or the Y component, depending on some modifiers. So W obviously is just X plus, A would be Y negative, so we swizzle the input values to being YXZ, and we negate it. And so on and so forth. Very simple system, but it works. Works really well, actually. Yeah. Yeah, definitely try to like keep your IDs kind of small, right? This is the first time, as I said before, that I'm making something that feels like it's actually kind of properly scoped for a 4-day game jam. 4-day jam? Well, that's an entirely different event. So yeah, what were we gonna do next? Oh yeah, I was trying to farm you guys for IDs for like different tile types. Now that we have the retriggers working, and we also have the glass tiles, I guess there's one more thing that I want to do, and I'm actually going to just close out everything except for the base tile, because this is getting a little ridiculous. Well, no, I need to... Well, let's just close everything to the right. When this spawns the initial tiles, I need this to always be just normal tiles. Because of course we don't want glass tiles or like uber powerful tiles to spawn in right at the start of the game. So I probably want this to be exposed on spawn, is what I'm thinking. And then in playfield I have a function here, spawn initial tiles, which is, don't look at it, quite bad. And then we just make this a input property as well. But that's probably not gonna maintain the proper defaults, is it? No, it will not. These always should be normal. Now we have the issue that the shop is going to be messing with... Oh, there's other things that are going to be messing with me as well. Yeah, yes, spawn tile. So this is in the play field. This is the start tile. I guess we also can just make this always be normal. But the shop is going to fuck with me, I think. Let's just see. Yep. What's the easiest way to deal with this right now? I guess we can just send throw the class defaults here in the shop tiles. Because the shop is the only place that we're going to be spawning in new tiles, really. Can we like hide unconnected or something? Oh, there we go. So what we do is when we spawn them in elsewhere, where we explicitly want them to be a certain type, or a selection of certain types, we can use this, but otherwise when we spawn them into the shop, it's just going to take the actual class as default and give them in as the parameter for that class, which is a little bit weird. It's a little recursive in a way, but that should work. Right, so this now spawns in everything normally. Let's just buy these to clear out the shop because they're still free. The shop should now at some point start spawning in like 1 in 5 times a glass tile. And there we go, that's a glass tile. These are overpowered if that's all you're going to get, right? Oh, this doesn't... Yeah, okay. That's on me. That doesn't activate that way. That makes sense. So let's do... This doesn't really matter. Let's do this. Yeah. So you would think that these are the most powerful, but these are actually unchainable. Which is not something that I had in mind, but that kind of balances itself, because these are very good to initiate multiple chains at the same time, but you can't at all activate these from a different direction. I guess when we implement diagonal versions of these, if we do, you could, but then you have the same idea with the like omnidirectional one, the adirectional one. You can't re-trigger it. Because when you try to relay something into a direction that is also an out direction, it refuses to re-trigger. Weren't we going to prevent infinite loops? I think we were going to prevent infinite loops. Let's try to prevent infinite loops. My brain is cooked. Fully just cooked. So right here we already have this trigger effect. But I'm just not doing anything with that, I guess. Oh, but it's just a base version. In the tiles, we have our +1 tile and the +1 money. Yeah, so this awards score, and then it goes into the parent trigger effects, which should always finish. Oh, but the issue is that it goes back and forth that way. So when it can't trigger, it should... Let me think. When it can't trigger, it should end the round. But it should only do that if it is part of the next tile functionality. Because if it's just a part of a like side branch, we don't want to necessarily end there, I don't think. Because that resolves itself already, I believe. So what we need to do... What is this game? I will show you another me getting distracted and actually just playing the game in a moment. I just need to focus in on this real quick. Because we need to check if this tile... I guess we need to check if the next tile we're going to be triggering has any activations. So get activations. No. Get tile. It's a little weird that we have two types of tiles. We have base tiles, which are components, and then we have actors, which are the... Anyway, get activation amount. It's the amount of times that they can still activate. So we check if we found it. Then we check if it is valid. And then we check if it is at coordinate 0, 0. And if it's none of those, we now need to check whether or not this is greater than 0. Because if it is greater than 0, we activate that tile. If it is not, we end the round without success. Okay, so this game, we have these tiles with these lights on them. The light indicates the direction that it will send the signal. When I press this button over here, it sends a signal to the bottom left corner, and then you can rotate these tiles however you please. And then you will get, well, in this case, +1 for each one of these, and +$1 for these. Eventually, these are going to like cost resources to buy. This is the shop, where you can buy new tiles. But the basic idea is that it loops around. You need to get back to the starting point to actually get your score. If you don't get back to the starting point, you get a buzzer, and it doesn't actually add to your score. Still adds your money. Gonna fix that at some point. The fun bit comes in when you have these extra special tiles that do other stuff. So this tile will, before moving the signal forward, also first activate the tiles to the left and the right. Those won't forward their signal through the like little red light. Just be a one-off activation. But you'll be able to see here, if I put this in this position, for instance, that I did something wrong. What it tried to do is it activated this, and then tried to send the signal to a empty spot. Need to send the signal through the whole thing. I don't have enough tiles to really show you how this works. Except that these things can also activate other ones of these relays. So this will now activate this, which will activate these two, and this one will activate this. So you get like double triggers on a lot of these. That's the first type of special tile that I've made so far. These glass tiles are single use. They'll be cheaper to buy. And then it will move on. So it will resolve all of the effects of this tile first. And then once that's done, it will move on with the rest of the signal. Now, you can see these glass tiles is something that we just made today. Once they are used, they get destroyed. So that's the basic idea of the game. Oh yeah, we need to test whether or not the infinite looping thing between two tiles back and forth is still an issue. Yeah, see, so when they run out of activations now, it will terminate the loop. Which does make me think, let's set this shop to being 10 tiles big again, just because it's easier that way to find the tiles that I want. I want to see if I can make a loop like this, and if that will terminate as well, because I don't think... I think it will, actually. I need more stuff, so let's just buy things that I'm not going to use. Well, actually, I can use these. Never mind. So this will now infinitely loop around, right? This will activate this, which will activate this, which will activate this, which will activate this. Ideally, obviously, you would then connect it up to something that actually scores you points. Like that. So that infinitely loops around now. And then it keeps going. So if it is a secondary branch, it doesn't actually terminate the whole loop. It just, again, it finishes the branch, it sees, hey, I'm out of users with these, and then it moves on. But if that happens in the, effectively like the main thread, that will terminate the round and declare it as invalid. So that works. Sweet. Yeah, so I also had this idea for a tile type that is, let me see. Will fire more than one unit in front of it. So it's effectively an upgraded version of the tiles that we just made, those relay tiles. So maybe we should think about other things than just relay stuff. Or we can lean super hard into it being like a full relay type thing. But I think adding in other... Let's add in the multiplier tile. Just a basic multiplier tile, I think, will be nice to have as well. So let's make this a base class instead. Score tile, because it's probably good to have a couple of different versions of this. And then this as well, money tile. And then we'll also make a multiplier tile, which I'll just make a copy of the score tile. What type of game is this? I will get back to that in a moment again. I keep explaining this when new people show up and not actually getting anything done. Score tile, multiplier, additive, add tile. I also want one that multiplies your current score, and I want one that multiplies your or adds to your multiplier. Because we do have this... do excuse me for the janky way that I have this set up, but I have the multiplier stored on the UI. I don't know why I did that. I really don't know why I did that. That's really dumb. Anyway, that's the way it works now. So add multiplier. Let's actually refactor that. Before we add the multiplier. Because there's no way, there's no reason to store that on the fucking UI. Right? So we total score, counting, score, multiplier, so when we award score, instead of sending this straight up to there, which is fucking insane, we just add it to our counting score here. So we get our score in, we multiply it and add it to our counting score. And then we just send that counting score through to the UI instead of the UI holding that data, because again, that is maniacal. That's actual diabolical shit to do that. Like, don't do that. That's really dumb. Well, it's not necessarily dumb. I mean, code needs to exist somewhere, but it's a general thing to have UI display code or display info and not generate it. Aside from user input, of course. So this is the add up score. This is a little bit more complicated to port over. This is probably the reason that I did it in the UI now that I think about it. It's good to still keep there. I don't think so. But yeah, we can just add multiplier. So we can add whatever to that. That doesn't, well, that does also need to be sent through to the UI because we're going to be displaying that. Update multiplier. Don't have anything for that yet, I don't think. Count score multiplier. Set text, we get that string to text. We append. Everybody who's seen my video on not using strings is losing their mind right now because they're missing the point. Multiplied by, well, no, not an input string, but a float. After we set this up, I'll go over the gameplay again real quick. Before I refactor the entire scoring system, because that's going to take a while, and I don't want to be like keeping people in suspense. I don't know how suspenseful it is. Update multiplier to our new multiplier. Alright, for now this will probably, well, it probably will actually break, but it'll be good enough to get the point across. So we have tiles everywhere. Super good tiles. The tiles have a light indicating the direction. The signal that we generate starts at the bottom left. This tile is not movable because it needs to be there. It is rotatable. So you can rotate it around and decide where the signal goes. Obviously, if you rotate it this way, you're an idiot. So it sends the signal from here, in this case, up to there, then there, all the way back to the beginning. The signal does need to get back to the beginning in order for you to claim your points. Every tile that it comes across the way does something. So these default tiles just give you score or money. But the tiles that you see here on the left side, for instance, are the relay tiles that we've made so far. And these tiles will send an activation through to the direction that they point their arrow in. So if I put in a relay tile here, for instance, you will see that even though the red light doesn't point to it, we will still be activating the money tile. The money tile won't forward that signal in its own like forward direction or anything. It's just a one-off signal. But you can chain these together if you wanted to. So if we just do this, you can see once it gets to here, it activates this and then moves forward. It will resolve this entire chain before moving on the rest of its main signal, which becomes relevant when we do things a little bit more interesting, like maybe doing something a tiny bit like, obviously, usually you would need to pay resources for this. This might be a bad example. Put one there. So when we start doing things like this, we go through here, we activate this. We go through here, we activate this, which activates this. Then we go through here, which activates this, which activates this, which activates this, right? So you start building these chain reactions. You can just see them. And then eventually it resolves. Once again, it is important that you actually do get back to this beginning part. There also is an element of loop protection, which adds in a weird like twist to the gameplay. Every single one of these tiles, right now it isn't displayed, but it will be, has a maximum amount of times that they can be activated. That's mostly to limit infinite looping. I do want to encourage, obviously, looping because that's the theme of the jam. But those loops shouldn't be infinite because then the game is just stuck. So they have a maximum amount of times that they can be activated. So if you abuse looping too much and you get to a tile that's already been activated the maximum amount of times, the loop and the signal will terminate and you will also not gain the points for the round. It's kind of hard to do that though, so you're not going to do that by accident probably, but that is also another mechanic that we do have in here. So Like, you need to really try to make this happen. I'm trying right now. So all of these now lead into this tile, and this tile can only be activated up to 5 times. So now it'll be activated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and by the time we actually get to it, it'll be its 7th activation, which means that it's going to say, hey, I've been activated too much. I'm actually going to block your signal here. I'm broken now. So let's see if that works. It says, hey, no, actually, we ain't doing that. So yeah, that's the basic rundown of the game. Now, going back to my HUD stuff. Field loop resets. I guess we gonna just get rid of this and set the text here back to 0. Update money. We'll also fix this so that it only awards you money when you actually finish a round. Because so far it's been just giving it on trigger, which is abusable. So we're gonna not have it do that. You know what we're gonna do? I'm just gonna take this, I'm gonna move it to the player, and then we'll see what breaks and we'll fix that. Does that sound good? That sounds good to me. Because we have this whole event graph set up here where it does stuff. This is adding the score from a count up score to the total score, which it does in those increments. With sound effects that increase in pitch and that kind of stuff. It's all fun. I guess we just do this in award score. Yeah, that makes sense. What all does this do then? Oh, this is for subtracting. So it is actually part of that code. That should be easy to add in here, right? Because all we need to do is we need to subtract from our counting score. This is going to be a bit wacky, but we'll get there. We get our counting score. We subtract our score to add. That's going to be our new counting score. I need to start commenting this because this is going to be a mess. Probably even split it out into like 2 or 3 functions to call. But score per add, we take that away from our counting score. That's going to be our new counting score. Obviously, that's going to be with a max between that and 0, so that we never go beyond 0. We check our counting score here on whether or not it is now still greater than 0. If it's not, we do all that. That makes sense. Then we also add up to our total score. So that will be adding our score to add, and that's where we have that other stuff. Hold on. We did something with that. We did our count score minus score to add, which is count up score, but we're setting our total score, which we did with our total score plus count up score 0. Okay, and this doesn't fully make sense to me anymore. It worked. It's just, it's getting to that time of the day where my brain is like, hey, you've been doing this for 12 hours, maybe stop. So I think after we make the multiplication tile, I will. But knowing my current speed, it's still going to be a while, so no worries. We'll still have some time to like hang out and laugh at how idiotic I am. Oh, this is actually simple. What we want to do is we want to get... Okay, thanks. We want to get our score to add and get the minimum between that, not minus, the minimum. We want to get the minimum between that and something else. And our counting score. Right? Let's go through this logically. We have our counting score. We have our score per add. That's every cycle that it goes through, it adds 25% more so that it scales exponentially. So that when you get super high up in the points, it doesn't take like 3 years to add up 1,000,000 points. So we update our score that we want to add. Then we subtract our counting score from that score that we want to add. And we take the maximum between that and 0 and set that to be our new counting score. So if this goes beyond 0, this just is a one-way clamp, right? So isn't this just the value that we need to add to our total score? No, this is the leftover. This is what we still have to count down after this. So what is this? This is the minimum between the score that we want to add and our actual counting score. So if we want to add more score than we have, it's going to return the counting score. If we still have more score that we want to be adding than our score per add, it's going to be returning. Yeah, so this is what we want to add to the total score. Thank fuck. Okay, that shouldn't have taken that long. Again, getting to that time of the night where it's like 9:30. I've been doing this since like 10 a.m. Only taking like a quick break for some dinner. Quick run down to the shop to get some dinner. So we getting there. After already 2 days where I worked for like 10, 12 hours per day on my project, and then this, and then this, it's just so much. I like it. I love doing it, but it's a lot. So that'll be our total score. Then all we need to do is change this to update score and take in our counting score. It also should play the audio. And our total score, which should be there and there. We set text on both. We just hook these up, and I think that gives us the possibility to say we want 0 digits of fractions. Yes. Now back to our player, because we want one more thing, and that is we want to... Oh, fuck. I deleted the thing. I can remember how to do this. Hold on. Spawn sound 2D. This will be, I think I call it like gears or something. Then we set floats parameter. Let's see what I called that. Why do you suddenly not work? Node and register class interface mismatch. Well, that sounds like a you problem. Well, actually, it's a me problem. This one works. Why specifically this one not? Oh, I changed it. I changed it to have it on play output as well, and that one doesn't have it. Why would that be? Yeah, don't change source files, obviously. But that should fix it. Right? Yes. Add some randomness to this as well. Alright, what is the input called? Pitch base. That's what I wanted to know. Because we use the sound pitch for that, and then we can play sound. Just play? Just play. Start time 0, sure. I think that does it. Let's test. Okay, maybe that doesn't do it. But the ramping up of the audio effect is actually kind of nice. Like that is the way that I hoped that it would kind of sound. It just... Obviously... obviously something is going wrong there. I don't know what. But that's... sure, man. Why is it adding score per ad with minus counting score? It's definitely the wrong way around. I think that might just be the issue, that was the wrong way around. Also, I think a couple of things weren't getting triggered because I'm only getting 1 point and then it's not giving that point over. And it's keeping this at 1. So why am I not getting points? Oh. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Good to add it to the existing instead of just replacing it every single time. Again, C++ would have been nice, man. Right? Why does... What? Why does it add... Why does it go to 1 and I'm back to 2, man? What the fuck? Why does it do any of that? Okay. Let's go through what that does. Score per add. It's getting my counting score, subtracting what it wants to add. Well, subtract from it. It maxes that between 0 and itself. It sets that to the counting score. That's the only place that counting score is getting set right. Yeah. Aside from award score, is this thing, when it loops back around, still awarding a point? No, because I was just getting 8 points before. Oh, and this also isn't getting set to anything at all. Okay. Guys, I'm going to be real with you. This might be breaking my brain a little bit tonight. Obviously, this is not going well. We get our total score. We get the minimum between our score per add and our current counting score. But that also... No, that does make sense. Let's add a breakpoint. I just want to see these values. All right. Trying to add 1.25. Makes sense. That subtracts 1.25. So far, these two line up, which means that we probably don't even need to actually look at whatever's going on before it, because these two, we were at 7, subtracting 1.25 means that we're at 5.75, and this one will be at 1.25. So that adds up. Do another round. Now it's going to be adding 25% more again. So it will be adding 1.56. Which added to 1.25. This... Oh, that's this one. 2.8. 1. I think that adds up as well. I think that makes sense. These two together should always add up to 7. But I think we're getting 8 points before. I think that is the issue, maybe. Anyway, this plus that adds up to 7, I think. 4.7 plus 2.3. Yeah. Now this is 0. So this should be... This isn't getting added up to 7. So this is 0. Because the counting score already is 0 by the time we get there. But that's just a matter of changing the order of operations. Because if we set the counting score before, after the total score, that should be fine. Still something weird about triggering an extra point after we are done, I think. But and this gets back. Why does that get set back to 0? Does it get updated at all? It just gets set to 0. That must be a... value is 0. Value is 0. That's because this value is 0.1. This value is 0.2. Why does it only get 0.1 added to it every time around? Oh, that's the score per ad and the sound pitch. Yeah, those are just entirely the wrong parameters, man. That's not even... What the fuck? Which means that the number that we were seeing also wasn't correct. Like, there wasn't even the right variable, but why did that seem correct then? I don't know, let's figure this out. Yeah, we don't need to break there anymore. Okay. It's actually, it's doing it now. So it was just a visual thing. We do need to make this say score though. Which means I'd probably just do this to string and then append this to score. And then just do that to text. That's a fantastic point. Probably want to truncate this. Okay, yeah, cool. So let's just imagine for a second, for testing purposes, now that we're doing this, that our score tiles don't add 1 point, but they add 1,000 points because we have such a good setup that we're raking in those points with multipliers and all that kind of good stuff, right? So we're getting thousands of points. I don't know, that ramp up might not be quite good enough. It starts a little slow and then goes way too fast. I think what we maybe should do to fine-tune that a little is only add 10% every single time around. But then the time between ads starts at like 0.2. Which also means that we need to set this to 0.2 again. So it starts a little faster, but then it ramps up a little slower. I don't know, that feels better to me. That feels better. Let's just for shits and giggles see what it does when it adds like 100,000 points. Nobody is going to get this many points, but just want to see. You think we should clamp it? Maybe the... Hold on, maybe it's... We also adjusted the points to add, right? Yeah, score per ad. We should... That sets it back to... Okay. No, man, maybe even just 5% is what we need to add. Then of course the pitch needs to also maybe ramp up a little slower for doing that. It is still exponential though, so it's gonna still have that. Does that take too long now? That might take too long. I think I liked it better at the 10%. The pitch is getting clamped by the meta sound itself, by the way. That just gets to like 3 and then it stops. It feels a little too short though. Just guessing numbers. I'm gonna say that's good enough. Let's add that multiplication tile, shall we? So when we set the multiplier, this is a multiplier tile, multiplier add tile, yes. We add multiplier. Let's just add a multiplier of 1 for now. I have a thing here that I can use, I think. No, I do not. Okay, let's make a new document real quick. I think I made these 512 by 512. I'm gonna go for 512 by 512. Document setup, color transparent, because why would that ever be the default? Way too much sense. Is this weird to say plus x1? I feel like that's maybe a little weird, right? But this adds 1 to your multiplier, whereas we also have tiles that will just multiply a current counting up score. So I feel like it makes sense, but also, I don't know, it kind of feels a little weird. I think we use an outline of about 8. I'm gonna keep this for now. But we might just convey that with colors instead in the future. Kinda depends on how I'm feeling about it tomorrow, to be honest, because there's not much more future for this game than tomorrow. I don't know, maybe I'll tweak it after the fact if I really enjoy it, but I do have an actual game project to get on with as well. No, I think that kind of works. I think that's probably good enough. So let's set back the the score tile to just giving 1 for now. And add in to the shop the possibility for our multiplier adding tile. I feel like this should maybe have a higher percentage chance of being glass. I can't even buy it because it has a value. Sure, I guess we just make a little bit of money. We can make a bit more money a little bit more easily like this. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. We need to do it this way. Also reminds me that we need to solve the money issue. Now we have enough money to buy the malt. So put in the multiplier there. How did this even make it around? That doesn't make sense. So this should now add in the multiplier 2, which isn't going to get displayed on screen yet, but this, and this should add 2 points now, so that will be 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's keep it simple for testing purposes so that I know that the multiplier works. So it is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that means that we should end up with 33. But we didn't. It does actually show on screen. I didn't think it would. Why didn't it? Because we're adding multiplier, right? That's our multiplier. When we award score, we... Oh. I already had a variable for that, apparently. The new one also needs to have a default value of 1, obviously. Which does remind me that it's probably not a bad idea to, at the end of all this, also set our multiplier back to 1. At which point I also need to make it disappear from the UI. Which... Did I really just call that field loop reset? Yeah, because that only happens when it fails. I guess... I guess we just need a general reset HUD, which will set our score counter will get set to 0 regardless. So I guess we just set the multiplier text to nothing. That will take care of that. Okay, so let's try again. I don't have the money for it, but you can see that the glass tile code works. It's cheaper than it was before. So we only need to do this like twice now in order to get the money. So again, that will be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Meaning we'll end up with 25 in total. We ended up with 27. Because this one still triggered at the end, I guess. This also doesn't clear. We'll look at that in a moment. So this should give 7 now, if my theory is correct, which means that we're going to get to 34. Let's get a bunch of these out. just so that I can get a... Sure. Permanent multiplier. Got 13 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 plus the 75 that we have should be 88. So why is it 87? It is 87 because something is going wrong with the score to add functionality. So it's adding the entire score to add instead of the remainder that we have. That must be it. So something in this math isn't mathing, I think. So our total score, we're adding... we're adding the last counting score twice because now we're setting that before. Okay. I think what's happening is because we're setting the total score of the unchanged counting score, and then we're changing it. So what we should do is we should, instead of just using the counting score here, we should use this. And that should fix it. We immediately have a multiplier addition. That's nice. I don't have the money for it though. Who made this game? What an idiot. Pricing all these things accordingly is going to be hell, and it's probably not going to be balanced at all. But let's see. Okay, again, this should give me 13, which means that this is going to be 40. It's 30 fucking 8. Did I do the math wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, so that's 40, 51. 49. What the fuck? I thought let's do a multiplier score. That's going to be easy to do. And then I thought let's actually refactor something that works, because it's a little messy the way it is now. Admittedly it was, but also admittedly it did work, and now it doesn't. So there's that. This all not relevant to the scoring. This is just visual and audio stuff. This all is the counting stuff. So we do the score per ad. We set that to something new. That's fine. Then we take our counting score, we subtract our score to add, and we make sure that it doesn't go under 0. Because that will be our new counting score. But it should always give us the value if it's not under 0. But what happens? Let's just do this as an example, as a thought experiment, because that always helps me when my brain is not catching up. Let's say we have 20 points. We want to add 20 points, but we have 5. Right? Oh yeah, that makes sense. If we want to add 20 and we have 5, this is going to be minus 15, so it's going to return 0 here. What it should do at that point. No, but then this is 0, right? So it's going to take the minimum between that and the score per add, which is going to be 0. So it should take the maximum here as well. I think. So if it takes the maximum between these two instead. That might be our ticket to success. It doesn't really seem to have this issue. Why do I have 19 points? So maybe it does have that issue. Yeah, okay, so that's definitely not it. Okay, so what is it that we want to add? Let's think here. This is not difficult. This is not an issue. Why is this an issue? We set a total score to the score that we want to add. Clamps to the count up scores current value. So I guess we can just use a clamp, right? Because the score per add, we never want to add less than 0. So we can always clamp this as minimum of 0 and a maximum of the current counting score. That should work. That adds up to 7. That's good. Okay, now I need to do that a couple of times to get some money. Let's actually speed up this process a little bit. Well, that's actually a class tile. Again, who the fuck made this game? It's really bad. That'll add me a little bit. That gets me a bit of money. Oh, that only works once because it's glass tiles. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we have the thing that we wanted. It's fine. So, let's dial in. Put all these to the side so that they don't distract us. 13 points, right? We agreed on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Meaning that this should be 33 at the end. It fucking is. Let's see if it does it again. So it should be 46 now. Okay, it works. Fantastic. Good. Great. Perfect, even. The only thing is that it's not clearing the multiplier texts. That's probably just because we're not calling reset HUD yet. Yeah, we're just not calling reset HUD yet. That makes sense. So that gives us a multiplying functionality. Times 2. Clears out. Great. Okay, one last thing that I do want to do before I head out of here is fix up the money issue. Because when we award money, we should do a similar thing where we, instead of just award money directly to our money, we should add it to a count up money. variables count up money. And then update money we'll do at the end. I'm not going to count those down. That's just going to be an instant thing. Hold on, let me get this back because I accidentally overwrote my clipboard. You can just drag that in. So yeah, here when we reset the HUD, we can just, after that, or before that, it doesn't really matter, update the money with our count up money, and then we set our count up money to 0. This way it only actually adds the money if we are successful. If we failed, it doesn't get to... It does get to those nodes. Hold on. Probably also should only refresh the shop maybe when you're successful. That seems reasonable. So yeah, this is the chain of things that happen at the end of a successful run, and this is what happens always when you finish at all. Okay, so now it only adds the money if you're successful and at the end. So we see no money added, but it adds the money when the counting up finishes. If we fail, it doesn't add the money. If we fail, it also shouldn't reset the shop now or refill the shop. But if we succeed, the shop should get restocked. There we go. Okay. That was a lot. That was a lot. I guess tomorrow what I'll be doing is adding more tile types. And doing a little bit of shop stuff to make the shop a little bit more dynamic than it is now, and obviously add values to everything, and just test it a lot. But I do feel like we have something going here. Oh, and write all these descriptions and stuff, obviously. But I think we have something something going on here, which could be potentially quite interesting to play around with. Right, if we just do... Ooh, that's a thing that could be interesting. Hold on, I don't have the money for it right now, but if we just farm a little bit of money with this... I didn't get the money, did I? It doesn't give me the money. Why doesn't it give me the money? It gave me negative money. Why did it... Why does it take away money? What? Why does my money not work anymore? Now it gave me money. Now it didn't. I feel like it has something to do with these things re-triggering. Because then it resets it back to 1. What the fuck? That makes no sense. Because it works perfectly well for score. It's just... specifically with money it started bitching. Here, all I do is award money. Whenever the effect is triggered, yeah. That just sets our accounts up money. Doesn't even use a multiplier, it could be getting fucked in any way. And then in the event graph, we just at the end here, we update our money. Oh, I guess we never actually update our real money, do we? Yeah, that'll do it. So, update the actual money variable. So that's just the amount of money that it gave me last turn that it was displaying. Not my total amount of money, because it wasn't ever adding it up. Which it won't do this way either. Because we need an addition. And then the count up money can go to 0 after that. Yes. Well, actually, we can do that. And we can do not that much more, honestly, than this. Guess we can do that. But that's about everything we've got going for us for money farming right now. Well, it's still four bucks. So if we take this glass tile over here, and then add in, like, immediately another glass tile. Probably shouldn't have bought the glass tiles, because I can probably loop back in on the non-glass versions. I think the glass tiles should be even cheaper than half. Because they don't even allow looping, right? Maybe the glass tile should just expire after one round instead. I think that makes a lot more sense. But even so, we can add up that multiplier in the beginning here, and then like start doing some stuff where we re-trigger score nodes. So this should give us quite a lot. 22. Could be better. Could be worse. Also, I feel like I should have had more money. Because doesn't this... Oh no, this goes this way. It skipped over the money entirely, okay. Yeah. I do think that the glass tile should only break at the end of the turn. Which is easy to implement. We just need to go into the tile, remove this, and just add that in at the end of the round in here. Because we're already resetting the activations for every tile, so all we need to do is we need to get the tile like type as well. And just destroy them then. So that way, we can actually do fun stuff like this, where we use these. Well, nothing here is re-triggering anything. Except I guess this is now getting triggered twice. But yeah, they'll only... Holy shit! Wrong actor. Wrong actor. No. Destroy actor, please. Destroy the tile. Just destroy the tile. Don't destroy the playing field. Anyway, you'll see that it now only destroys it at the end of the turn. Seems like there's something different in 5.6. Might have been a bug in that case, because I don't think 5.6 particularly, again, does anything different there. Because again, this code is running a 5.6 project, and all that just works, so I suppose you just run into a weird engine bug. Sometimes shit happens that's just weird. And really annoying. But yeah, let's leave it there for right now. I'm going to be working on this more tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be on stream. Probably not, to be honest. But it might be. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to have a good long think about more tile types to add. But we're doing good. So yeah, thanks everybody for stopping in and hanging out and that kind of stuff. And I'll, if nothing else, I'll be back to just my normal streams on Tuesday. We might be doing some actual like level design stuff on Tuesday, or I might be doing the Kingdom Hearts 1 Sephiroth analysis, because I kind of want to check that out as well before I get any like super deeper into fine-tuning my bosses, because I think that having a good example of a Kingdom Hearts 1 boss is probably very nice. I might still have my level 1 save just before Riku as well, because I think I made a save for that because I like that boss. So I might have a save for that. It'll be at level 1, but it's a... All things considered, for how many people are traumatized in childhood, Riku is not even that bad of a fight. Even at level 1. Anyway. So we might be doing some Kingdom Hearts 1 on Tuesday, or we might be doing some level design. We might be doing a little column A, a little column B, we'll see. For now though, I'm going to save a project and head out of here. And you guys have a good night and good luck with any of the projects that you're working on, either on your own or for the Game Jam. Looking forward to hopefully seeing a couple of them pop up when I play some of the stuff that I just get across my feed. So, see ya!